Most foreign women think Korean women decide with their hearts. They're wrong. The most successful, most educated, most secular Korean woman you can find walked into shaman's room before they let themselves feel anything for you. They don't ask if she likes you. They ask if you passed. I'm a Korean man. I've sat next to women in their 30s with PhD from Yonsei University. Women who run companies. Women who would laugh at the word superstition in English. And I've watched them hand a stranger your birth time and hers and wait for a verdict. In this video, I'll show you what those 3 words actually check. Because it's not love. It's not even compatibility. And there's a specific verdict the shaman gives them about you that ends everything before you ever know it started. I'll show you the verdicts in a minute. The audit you didn't know you were taking. You're watching a K-drama. The man kneels in the rain. The woman cries and says yes. You've replayed that scene 100 times. Here's what didn't make it into the show. After he proposed, before she said yes for real, she went to a woman in a small office in Jongno or Gangnam, paid 100,000 won in cash, and handed over 2 pieces of paper, yours and hers. Birth dates, birth time, birth city. That's all. The woman in the office did not ask if she loved him. The woman in the office said one of 3 things. She said his fate would crush hers. Or she said he carried something that would harm their first child. Or she said the years would be hard, but the marriage would hold. That's the verdict. And every one of those 3 sentences ends a marriage before it starts. The drama ends at the rain scene. Real Korean weddings start there. I have a friend. He met a woman he was going to marry. They had been together 2 years. Her mother liked him. Her father liked him. On the night he proposed, she said yes and cried. 3 weeks later, she stopped answering. He went to her apartment. She told him at the door that her mother had taken their birth charts to a woman in Insadong, and the reading came back wrong. That was the conversation. He never saw her again. If you've been talking to a Korean man, and 1 week he goes warm, and the next week he's gone, and you can't find a single thing you did wrong, this is what happened. Someone you've never met read a piece of paper and decided. You probably already felt something was off. Your gut was right. The first wall. Here's how the audit actually works. What Korean calls Saju, the Chinese horoscope, is 4 pillars. The year you are born, the month, the day, and the hour. Compressed into a code based on Tang dynasty divination math from the 8th century. The code is supposed to tell a trained reader your full life, your wealth, your health, your temper, whether you'll cheat, whether you'll go broke, whether you'll die before 60. When her mother walks into that office, the first thing the reader checks is your code alone. Not yours and hers, just yours. She wants to know if you, by yourself, are someone who deserves to be near her daughter. This is the first wall. You don't get to be charming. You don't get to be funny. You don't get to take her out for Saju and make her laugh until 2 a.m. You don't exist in this room. The only thing in this room is a number on a piece of paper. There are more shamans and Saju readers in South Korea than there are licensed doctors. The fortune-telling industry pulls in billions of dollars every year. Roughly 1 fortune teller for every 200 Korean adults. That's like every block in Manhattan having its own shamans. 3 or 4 of them. The first wall doesn't care if she loves you. The first wall is asking 1 question. Are you, on a paper, worth the gamble? And here's what almost no foreign woman knows. That paper has been deciding Korean marriages for 600 years. So you might be thinking, fine, that's the audit. Pass the audit, you get her. That's not the real story, because the audit isn't really about you. It's about something they inherited 600 years ago that nobody in your country has ever had to carry. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you the real reason a Korean woman who likes you, who chose you, who already imagined her life with you, will still walk away when the paper says no. It has nothing to do with love, and it has nothing to do with you. Stay with me. The second wall. Now your paper meets her paper. This is Gung-hop, compatibility reading. The shaman lays your code next to hers and look at how the 2 interact. Here's what the compatibility reading actually checks. Whether your ear animal eats hers, whether your element drowns hers, whether your hour clashes with her hour in a way that means one of you will get sick young, whether your luck cycles peak when hers crash, whether your sun's chart, the one you don't have yet, will come out broken. I want you to hear that last one again. The shaman is checking the chart of a child who doesn't exist yet, based on the sum of your code and hers. If that future child looks bad on paper, it doesn't matter how much she loves you. She's been told her unborn child will suffer because of you. What woman walks into that? Here's a part where it gets older than you think. This system didn't start in Korea. It came from Tang dynasty China in the 8th century. A Chinese astrologer named Li Shuzhong wrote it down. The Korean kingdoms picked it up around 900 AD, by the time of the Joseon dynasty, around the year 1400. Every noble family in Korea was using it to arrange marriages. The royal court had its own astronomers, whose only job was to read royal charts. Princes and princesses could not marry without their approval. For 600 years, no Korean noble wedding happened without this reading. When Joseon collapsed in 1910, the reader didn't disappear. They moved into back rooms and small offices. Under Japanese occupation, under the Korean War, under military dictatorship, under the IMF crisis of 1997, empires fell. The shamans stayed. In 1997, when men lost their jobs and apartments and families overnight, the line outside the Saju reader's office got longer than the line outside the bank. That's not superstition. That's the only thing in this country that has never failed people. Your boyfriend's grandmother used this system. Your boyfriend's mother used this system. He was checked against it the day he was born. He thinks he's a free man. He's been audited in his whole life. And now, the third word. The third thing they check is the most superstitious and the most powerful. The shaman looks for what Koreans call sal, a curse, a burden, a wound stitched into your fate. There are dozens of them. There is the curse of the wandering spouse. There is the curse that makes you outlive your children. There is the curse that draws lovers but never lets you keep one. There is the curse called baekhosal, the white tiger. It means violent death. If the shaman sees one of these in your code, the conversation ends. Not slows down. Ends. I had a guy in my hometown, successful, engineer. Met a woman from a good family in Daegu. 2 years together. Her mother took the birth charts to a reader who saw the white tiger in his hour pillar. The mother told her daughter, "This man might bring violence into our family." 2 days later, my friend got the message. He spent the next year asking everyone he knew if his birth time was wrong. Maybe his mother had remembered the hour off. Maybe the hospital had it wrong. Maybe if the time was different, the white tiger wouldn't be there. He went back to his mother and asked her to think harder. She didn't remember, so he stopped sleeping. That's what this system does to a man. It doesn't grieve the woman. It grieves the possibility that he was born wrong. Now here's where you come in. If you're a foreign woman, this gets worse, not better. Because the shaman doesn't have your Saju, the Chinese horoscope, at all. She has the time you said you were born, in a western city, on a western calendar, in a hospital where the time on the chart was approximate. The shaman can't read you. And in this system, what cannot be read is treated as dangerous. A man who can't be audited is a man who failed the audit by default. You are mid-career men who fall hard for you, who tell you they want to marry you, and then disappear when their family gets involved. It's not that he stopped loving you, it's that you cannot be entered into the spreadsheet. And in the spreadsheet, blank means rejected. That's wall number 3. But there's one part of this system that's already moving into your country, and it's not the shamans. I'll get to that near the end. The wall you built yourself. So what's coming for you? Here it is. The shamans aren't crossing the ocean. They don't need to. The system already crossed. It's just wearing different clothes. Open your phone right now. Look at the apps you used this week to check whether someone was right for you. Birth chart compatibility. Dating app match scores. The app that tells you his attachment style based on 3 questions. The Reddit thread where someone tells you what his rising sign says about whether he can commit. You think you're modern. You think you're not like those Korean mothers in those small Jongno offices. You're exactly like them. You're just paying $4.99 a month instead of 100,000 won in cash. You're auditing him before you let yourself want him. The Korean system at least admits what it is. Yours pretends it's empowerment. Here's the thing nobody tells you. If you're a woman watching this video tonight, you have something a 25-year-old Korean girl with a perfect Saju does not have. You have lived through audits, real ones, the kind that cost you a job, a marriage, a friend, a parent, a decade of your life. You walked through the rejection without a shaman to blame. You learned which voices in your head were yours and which ones were borrowed. You stopped needing strangers to confirm you were worth keeping. A Korean man who has never been allowed to fail without paperwork has no idea what it is to look at a woman and just decide, with nothing in his hand. No code, no reading, no mother on the phone. Just him and her. And the next morning, that's terrifying for him. That's why he goes warm and then disappears. He's not running from you. He's running from a version of himself that doesn't need an audit. Now here's what they're really doing in that small office. The reading isn't a prediction, it's a permission slip. A Korean woman who walks away when the paper says no isn't choosing the paper over you. She's choosing the only thing she's ever been allowed to use to make a decision. 600 years of women who were never asked what they wanted, handing the question to a stranger in a small room. That's what the verdict actually checks. Whether they have permission to choose. That's wall 1, that's wall 2, that's wall 3, that's the cage. And here's the bigger question. Maybe the real audit isn't whether his family approved of you. Maybe the real audit is whether the people you love have ever actually met you, or just the version of you that passed the test. Tell me in the comments, have you ever felt someone go cold on you for a reason you couldn't name? Was there a paper somewhere with your name on it? Or was the paper inside your own head? Stay real, because that's what I crave. This is Shiba Records. See you in the next video.